On the march, the Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
The month of February is all about Valentine's Day. Big heart-shaped boxes filled with delicious candy. What if we, the Patriots, hijacked Valentine's Day and instead made it about human liberty and individual empowerment? I'm all about human potential. I'm all about the individual being empowered. The establishment is the opposite. That's why they spike our water with fluoride and GMO, estrogen mimickers, and the rest of the garbage. InfoWars is striking back in the month of February with Human Empowerment Month. How we can come together and win the human race. And to celebrate the kickoff of Human Empowerment Month, we're slashing prices on InfoWarsLife.com products like Super Male and Super Female Vitality. The sale is only running for the month, 20% off, and there's a lot of other powerful specials at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsLife.com, celebrating human potential in the month of February. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to find this special and many others in the month of February. Again, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with Super Male or Super Female Vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put two and two together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Want to just say, great job last week for 3 of the days or so that David Knight sat in broadcasting. Want to thank him for the wonderful job he did. Joel Skousen is our guest, worldaffairsbrief.com. And your calls are coming up here in just a few minutes. Specific questions for Joel Skousen. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Joel, I want to finish up with Russia and China and geopolitical issues and just get your take on the eugenics, anti-human, anti-family, anti-male, political correctness. People say, oh, silly political correctness, but it's really designed to do something more, curtail language and just shut people down and teach a form of ninnying knowledge, of obsessing on what people say and being offended to shut down real debate. But before we go there, finishing up with Russia and what you think is happening in Ukraine.
Well, we are seeing, as I continue to predict, that Russia is being let to have a pass here. They are in really open invasion now within Ukraine with limited troops, but highly trained troops. Ukraine is actually sabotaging their own version of the war. The generals have leaked out. They're not allowed to win this. They're not allowed to put in sufficient troops to win anything. It's a phony war. But, you know, we continue to battle the major propaganda within our own movement, Alex, of those, and these are sincere people, most of them. I mean, the Eric Zuses and the Lindmans are pro-Russian leftists who will continue to claim that Russia has no sins, that Putin has no sins, that Castro has no sins. This is just a globalist conspiracy against these innocent countries, but it is not. The globalists are not innocent. They want to provoke war, but they really don't want to, in fact, engage Russia. They want Russia to continue to look worse as they move through, and Russia is a predator nation. Russia is in Ukraine to take back Ukraine before World War III, and you'll see that after Ukraine is taken, or at least half of Ukraine, they probably won't get through completely to western Ukraine, but I think they'll get it surrounded with Moldova. Fully half of Ukraine will fall to the new Russia, and then they'll start working on the Baltics. All the while, I'll tell you, NATO will do nothing, and the U.S. will do nothing. Sending arms to Ukraine will do nothing because there's no way that they can be used, sophisticated arms, without training. It'll be, if anything, a giveaway to the Russians who will capture a lot of those weapons. And I continue to insist, though, that the anti-globalists, of which I count myself as one, certain of our members on it are incorrect when they continue to hype that this was a Western promulgated coup. It's true that the Western governments, when they're facilitating some of the opposition, but this was, in fact, a Russian coup to the core. A year ago, almost this week, we saw the unexplainable happen, where the opposition was allowed to win because the riot police, run by the pro-Russian Yanukovych regime, were ordered back to the barracks, giving the opposition the free run of the governmental palace, the governmental buildings, and then on the Saturday following that day, the pro-Russian Party of Regions ousted their own president. It would be as if constitutional conservatives had been rioting and protesting in Washington, D.C. for 3 months, and all of a sudden the Marines abandoned the White House, let us walk through the White House, and the next day the Democrats ousted Barack Obama. How believable would that be? But that's exactly what happened in Ukraine. It could not have been a Western coup because the Western opposition had no powers to order the Berkut back to the barracks and to order the Republic or their version of the Democratic Party to oust their own leader. And that's why I say this is a false pro-Western government, particularly sabotaging the war, working in combination with Russia to eventually let Russia take back Ukraine.
Now, Joel Skousen, I agree with you on probably 97% of what you have to say. And on this subject, I get your perspective. What you're saying is true. But let's pull back. When this all started a year ago, I went and showed the clips of the State Department saying we've put $5 billion in the last 15 years. George Soros made statements on CNN, on different shows, that he was involved in the destabilization. They want to destabilize, have the two sides fight with each other, let Russia carve off a piece of it in probably some secret deal. Then the EU can come in and say we've got to resurrect this and bail out the EU with Federal Reserve money, claiming that it's not an EU bailout, but that it's a Marshall Plan. Well, we just saw tens of billions already sent in. They're calling it a Marshall Plan. So it's a larger destabilization of the whole region to then launch the new Cold War for the new buildup for the next phase. And this is more like Hitler and Stalin dividing Poland before official World War II broke out and Hitler double-crossed Stalin in Operation Barbarossa. So that's what I see happening. So I don't lionize the West or the Putonians, I guess you could call them. But clearly that area of Ukraine has pretty much always been part of Russia. This is a replay of World War II with Eastern Russian Ukraine battling Western European Ukraine. And so that's why you see the same players there. So I see it more as the globalists just wanting turmoil to consolidate control.
Well, you got to remember, the globalists are playing both sides, always have. They've been building up Russia while they pretend to fight Russia in a Cold War, building up China while they pretend to fight. Same thing happening here. It was a propaganda lie when Victoria Nuland said that they'd put $5 billion into Ukraine. That was the entire budget for all of Eastern Europe. You can't put $5 billion into a country like Ukraine and not have it show up in the banking system. In other words, she was propagandizing, speaking to a pro-Ukrainian rally. But there's no way that they injected that directly into Ukraine. And George Soros, being the globalist leader, is basically feeding the fire within Russia and others to get people who want to believe this was a Western coup. But you see, the U.S. knows, the media knows that the coup went back to the barracks. The media knows the Party of Regions unelected their own leader. Nobody in the press has asked why and how did that happen and how did the Western opposition do that? Until someone answers that question, my proof stands. This was a ruse, just like the phony fall of the Soviet Union was a deception. The phony coup in Ukraine is a Russian coup, and that Poroshenko and Yevchenko are working for the Russians and sabotaging. That's why Poroshenko has all his friends are Russian oligarchs. That's why he betrayed the Eastern Russians with his campaign promises. He refused to let them speak Russian in Eastern Ukraine. He enraged them. He sent in mercenaries to attack his own people, to betray.
So that Russia could then look like the savior coming in and taking over.
Yeah, in other words, they've been sabotaging. This looks like, and I've got the proof, as I say, that these pro-Western leaders are actually still working for Russia, just like Timoshenko was working for Putin.
Well, I mean, it's on record that the entire leadership of Al-Qaeda and ISIS is working for NATO, working for the U.S., working for Turkey, working for Israel, working for Pakistan. I mean, it just keeps coming out. So that would fit the paradigm.
That's right. We have to look deeper than the obvious on these things. And going back to this, I still think that the trigger for World War III is not going to be Ukraine. It's going to build up Russia as the hegemonious enemy right across the border from Europe, and it's going to allow Europe to... But I think we're going to see, just like happened in Yalta, just like what happened in Munich, we're going to see them continue to pamper and be permissive with the Russians right up into the war. But the actual trigger probably started in North Korea. Has to be a reason why the Western governments continue to be permissive with North Korea compared to Iran. There's going to be a war in the Middle East with Iran as soon as Syria is, taken down with Israel attacking Iran. But ultimately, I think we have time. I think this war is going to cover for the excuse of getting the entire West into a militarized global government. And I think that's where all this is leading. But I don't think it's imminent. I think this is going to take time. You're going to see Ukraine mature for another year before they move into the Baltics. And the reason I say that is that Russia and China still need more time to continue to build these weapon systems that they're in the process of building right now. And we are going to continue to disarm, which is suicidal.
But as you said, that's to entice the attack when the whole secret project... Just like NASA's 80% secret, the military, what we see of the military is not really the main military. What we see is more of our UN occupation force military that's 30 years old.
That's right. Our government has secret weapon systems they're developing. They're going to allow this nuclear attack on American military forces so as to justify getting us into a new world order. They need our American military forces to be taken down in order to rampage or get us into a militarized global government. But then they're going to pull out, I think, these secret weapons, probably space-based anti-missile weapons that are really effective with warheads on them, unlike our current crop of ABMs. And they're going to hold back the Russian and Chinese nuclear attacks while they regroup. And I think there's going to be a...
But the Russians and Chinese are smart. They know about all the secret weapons.
I'm not sure they do. I think they suspect. That's what's kept them at bay for many. That's why they're still skittish about attacking. But I don't...
didn't they see how we set up Japan to attack? I mean, they got to know that's how the West and the British intelligence operates.
Yeah, you would think so. But you've got to remember that Russians and the Chinese have as part of their strategic blood, they must attack the West. They do want to take down the West, so they're not going to be deterred. They're just looking for how much more can we build before we're confident enough to take them down. And I think, with PDD-60, which they also have got to know about, PDD-60 tells on